box for storage. This is the shower head for the shower. This will thread onto the very bottom of the shower. These are some extra parts that come with the shower that we typically don't really use. You can use the quick connect if you want for the hose portion of it.
There's a rubber washer.
Oh yeah, there's a rubber washer that's not in there right now because it'll fall out. You'll need that when you go to attach that. This is a city water regulator. We always provide for one of those. If your water pressure is really high at a campground or your house or something, puts a little bit too much stress on the water system. So this will just thread into the city water connection here, threads in, and then your garden hose attaches to that, which is the white drinking water hose here. So once you connect this, it does pressurize the whole system, and that allows you to use the water as it is intended without touching any of the water in the tanks themselves. This is another quick connect for your water system. You can plug this in, and it'll give you a spigot right there. When you're done, again, release it, you close the door. Got two tank fillers here, one for the midship tank and one for the forward tank. Those just get filled with your garden hose. You do want to sanitize those every year, or if it sets for an extended period, put a few tablespoons of bleach in there, fill it up with water, give it a little while to kind of just do its job with the bleach, and then drain everything out. And then I typically will run a tank of water through it just as a rinse cycle, if you will, to kind of freshen it up. Some of your awnings, straps, and stakes and things for the awning. Again, you got your 110 volt inside this box as well, the inverter and shore power. Inside here is your water controls. This is the winterization area, and the way this works is this is a drain for the water system in general. If you turn this down, it'll drain both tanks out for you, like you turn home from a trip and you want to drain those. When you're ready to winterize, you want to have this all drained out, have this back in the horizontal position. Then you take this valve and bring it forward, and that'll allow the pump to pick up from this fitting. So once you do that, just unscrew the cap, thread this on there, drop this in your 1 gallon tank of a little 1 gallon jug of RV antifreeze, turn the pump on, and then run water at all your faucets and all your spigots out here until you see the pink water. Once you're done, you thread the cap back on, and now all the plumbing inside the trailer is protected from freezing. Come springtime, just turn this back to flow, fill the tanks, and flush that antifreeze out. Again, the RV antifreeze is more like a sugar type water. It's not poisonous. It just got to get flushed out or it tastes kind of funky. That's those two parts there. The actual water pump is inside there, stowed away.
Does it have a filter on it?
There is a filter, a sediment filter on it. You might check it once a year. I don't see a lot of dirt in them, but it has got a little removable bowl, kind of clips off in there, and allows you to clean any sediment. Especially after the first few cycles, sometimes there's a little bit of plastic residue from the tanks being drilled. You may see that in there. This is the socket for your fridge freezer to bolt or thread into, slips in, plugs in, and then tightens down. There are shut-off valves on the individual tanks because these tanks will self-regulate the water. If you fill one, you'll end up with a half a tank in each of them. If you want to isolate the front one for tongue weight, you can just shut this valve off next to it and fill just the midship tank, and that'll isolate that tank and keep it empty. Shower. This is the quick connect gas connection that we talked about. There's a long enough hose to go around the trailer and into the tongue box. This is the actual water connection here that you would run your hose up to and connect to the port here. Pretty simple to operate. There's some D batteries in there. There's instructions with it, but there's you just hook your gas up to it with the other gas fittings. You get gas here, water here, then your shower head, and just turn it on and it'll ignite itself. It is a demand heater, so it's only running when you're actually running water through it. And there's an on-off switch there, as Ryan just pointed out. And that's just really for the ignition system. On the port side here, we have several things. This is for the shore power, so we can get home. You want to charge up your batteries, take an extension cord, plug the female right in there, female end of it, and that'll charge your batteries. This is that regulated solar input that we talked about. I'll show you the controller here in a minute. So you'll put that adapter in there and then plug your panels into that. And then this port here is actually 110 volts from the inverter. So say you're boondocking and you want to run something 110, you don't have to leave the box open. You can just plug it in here and get your 110 volts. Inside the box here, we have a little work light. You can turn that on and off. It is dimmable. Just touch and hold. It'll go up and down in brightness. This is the inverter over here to the side. To use it, there's an on-off button. Just press and hold. Let up, it'll beep. The display alternates between voltage and wattage demand. So as you're using it, this number will actually go from 0 to whatever wattage the tool or whatever you're using plugged into it. Pretty simple to use. When you're done, just press and hold and turn it off. These are your solar controllers. This smaller one is for the 45 watt panel that's hard mounted to the top of this box. This is the larger one that will plug into your actual panels will go into. Both of them kind of give you an indication of what's going on through lights. If you have a red light, it's typically a fault. We're inside, so it's not charging right now, but when it is, it'll be blue and then it'll turn green when they're charged up. This one's a little nicer. It can change displays and kind of show you usage and generation and a few different things going on, so you can kind of familiarize yourself with it. Both of them will charge different style batteries, so if you ever want to change out to a AGM or lithium or something down the road, this one will do it from the display. This one has dip switches on the back that can be changed. These are the fuses for your lighting and your water pump, all the interior accessories, heaters, things like that. There's some spare fuses tucked behind it here, so typical little fuse panel. This is a circuit breaker for the entire fuse panel back in the back, so if you're ever putting it away for an extended period, if you just hit this button, it turns off everything in the back. That way there's no parasitic drains or anything like that. And I have the ability to turn that off, flip it back on to reset it. The fridge freezer is on its own fuse right here. We do that so that it is on its own live system. If this ever trips for whatever reason, it doesn't shut your cooler down. It's just a good idea to make sure it's always running. Of course, your dual batteries are in here. We got 200 amp hours of wet cell batteries. These are the charging leads. They are fuse protected as well off of the NOCO dual bank charger. And again, it'll light up and indicate what's going on and how charged up they are. If you open it up, if it's red, it's charging. If it's green, it's done charging. So pretty straightforward. This is just a little water trap here and drain. It'll pop up, and if you were ever to get much moisture in here, it'll allow that to exit. It just won't allow anything to come in. That should cover everything. If you have any questions, always call